Janice Anderson is one of my dearest friends. She is not just a girlfriend of mine. She is my spiritual sister. She is my warrior. She goes before the Lord on my behalf. She's one of the people who I call when I'm about to jump on off the ledge and she pulls me back and I pray. I do the same for her. Not only that, she is a bad chick in her own right. She's owned her own business for 10 years called Marua. And what she does is partner with business owners, not just Christian business owners, but business owners and ministries to help them take their vision to the next level. So over the many years when I've done Friends with Vision, when I've done I Believe in Marriage, and now When Girls Gather, she is one of the people that I bring my vision to and I say, okay, this is what I'm thinking. Help me make it happen. She is an amazing woman. So thank you guys so much for tolerating our little issue. And we're about to dive into this conversation because Janice is right. She is one of the people that I can have these heart-to-heart conversations with. And so, like I said, there is no questions off limits. And we're going to dive into, number one, why would I even do this whole luncheon that I'm doing on January 27th? And then number two, we're just going to talk about some of the things that women deal with. So, Janice, the floor is yours. I am on the hot seat.
Okay. Well, first, let's just go ahead and start right where you started with our relationship, Robin. We are blessed to have a good relationship, a relationship where we serve as safe spaces for each other in your work with women. Well, and which is ironic because for both of us, there was a time in our life when we said we didn't do women. First, I'm going to ask you, Robin, do you remember when we met each other?
Uh-huh. I do.
Do you? Okay. So Robin and I met each other. We were real grown. We did not go to college together. We did not know each other growing up. As a matter of fact, we were like way grown. And for us to be this close in our relationship is kind of unheard of. And we actually both had made the statement ground that we weren't going to have any new friends. So I think I was well into my 30s, mid-30s when I met you, Robin. Yes, and so how did it come to this? And so how do you move from, what do you feel about the statement for the women who say, I don't do women, they are messy, and I'm too old for no new friends? So what would you say to that?
So one of the things, ladies, is I don't know about you, and I want you to make a comment if you've ever said that, look, I just don't do women. Women are messy. I just don't have a lot of women around me. Women often sit in my office. I'm a licensed therapist and a certified life coach, and they often sit in my office and they say that I don't do women. Now, honestly, I love my girlfriends. I don't do women hasn't been my mantra, but that no new friends has been my mantra. And so, Janice, one of the things I tell women is this, that I think that's an easy way to bow out of real relationships. I think when we say that, that's an easy way for us to bow out of real relationships. And so I tend to have a little bit of sarcasm in my work with women. And so I'll tell my clients when they say that to me, I say this, you are the last one, huh? They'll look at me with a shocked Janice, and I'll say, you're the last woman on earth who's not messy. Girl, you're the last one who is a genuine person. You're the last one that is cool to be around. And when I say it like that, that shocks them into realizing that, yes, you may have encountered some relationships, because let's keep it real. Sometimes when women come together, I'm gonna come out.
I got something. I'm gonna bring it up.
Okay. Sometimes we got to keep it real. Y'all know I keep it real. Of course, there have been those friendships and those relationships or those situations where we've been disappointed by a friend or we've been let down by a friend. But this is what we have to realize, Janice, and you and I, even in our friendship, have had this. There are times when you let down a friend. There are times when you disappoint a friend. And so you have to make sure that you don't make that blanket statement, because that blanket statement can be made about you. Even in our relationship, Janice, there have been times when I've disappointed you. There have been times when you've disappointed me. But that's the beauty of relationships. Remember, we are unapologetically faith-filled in When Girls Gather. And the Bible says iron sharpens iron. And so when those relationships have had a disappointment, that's an opportunity for us to grow.
I think First of all, you said it so well and so eloquently, and you're the life coach. So we expect you to know how to make it grow. But Roberts, let's just keep it real. Sometimes it's just easier, and I can speak for me. I said I didn't do women because it's easier to just deal with men or somebody else than to have to go do the work to try to make the relationship work. Because after the disappointment, it seems like it is a mountain to climb. I don't know if you remember the first time I ever disappointed you, and we had like our friendship was on the line. I didn't even know how
Are
bad
we
it was
going to
on the
talk about
line.
it? Are we going to
Robin,
talk about
we
it?
finna talk about it. Our friendship was on the line. You had opened up your heart. We way grown. We're close to each other. You trusted me. I disappointed you. Talk about that experience and how we navigated that experience, because it was not easy.
It was not easy. And so, whew, okay. So Janice and I were, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details, but we were working on a major project together. And both of us have our own core beliefs that drive what we do. So we were working on this project together, and this was a major project for me. Remember, I told you she helps bring my vision alive. So this is a major project for me. And she dropped the ball
Keep
a
going.
few times on the project. But her core, what I know about her is that her core belief was that she didn't want to let me down. And so she would keep making I'm gonna get it here, I'm gonna do it here. She was making some promises that she wasn't fulfilling because her core belief is that I want to be there for my friend. And so the way and it was really, I was really disappointed because I felt like I was kind of being drug along. But Janice, one of the ways we were able to navigate that was, number one, you owned up to it. Mm-hmm. No, let's go before that. Before you even owned up to it, I addressed it, which is a big deal for me.
It's huge.
Everybody say amen. It's a big deal for me because my go-to, y'all, in friendship is, I'm good on you.
Yeah.
I'm cool on you. You done disappointed me. You're not going to even know it. I'm just going to stop fooling with you.
Yes.
I'm not going to curse you out. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm just going to stop fooling with you. And so it was a big deal for me to address it. Then Janice was able to own it. But here's the bigger deal. We both acknowledged that this friendship was valuable to us, that this friendship was important to us. So Janice, the reality is when women say, I don't do women because women are messy, that's the cop-out.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean, hear me, that doesn't mean that there aren't times when relationships have to end. I just believe you have to be in tune to know, is this a relationship ending situation? Is this relationship worth navigating through the tough stuff? Because when you navigate through the tough stuff, you'll begin to discover some things about you. You'll begin to understand why you do what you do. You'll begin to understand yourself better. Quite frankly, ladies, real friendship, real sistership can make you a better wife.
Yes. Yes.
Real friendships can make you better as a mother. Real friendships can make you better even as a daughter. One of the things that happens, Janice, between you and I and with my other girlfriends and even with my sister, real friendships make you better. And so there have been times, Janice, where I have called you feeling in my feelings about my husband. Like when he gets home, when I tell you I'm about to go off on him, I'm about to give him the business. He's getting all of this. And my girlfriend will say, hey, sister, that's you. Yeah. That's your stuff. Mm-hmm. That's not Lee. So real friendships make you better. So I believe it's worth navigating those tough times in relationships.
That's good, Robin. That's good. That's good. So I love that. I love that you said that because I want to go back to something you said and ask you a question. A lot of times in relationships, your stuff comes up. I feel like relationships are really a mirror. And what we get to see is not only their stuff, but our stuff. And what I was personally dealing with is trying to be all the things, be everything. Can I just be transparent? I had a new relationship. I was super excited. And
she had a man. I want to call out one of my girlfriends who's on here right now, but I ain't going to do it. But she had a man.
And I had a man.
She couldn't be there for her girl. I have a friend on here I want to call out, but just I ain't going to do it.
Don't call out. And so I couldn't focus. And I was trying to be superb business owner, superb mama, superb new girlfriend, all this stuff at the same time. And I didn't want to drop any balls. I was dropping balls left and right. Robin, that's something that we women face all the time. And one of the things that you often say is we can have it. We can have it all, but talk to us about that. The woman who's trying to have it all.
Yes. And y'all, this is a big debate. This is one of the reasons why I loved Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. And at the Celebrating Sisterhood luncheon, we're going to use that book to jumpstart some heart-to-heart conversations with one another. Because one of the things we discovered in that book is what I have said all along. I think Michelle has been listening in to my conversations. She had to, Janice, because she talked about it in the book. One of the things she talked about is that as women, we put this pressure on ourselves to have it all, and that's a bunch of mess. Because
Yes.
I believe you can have it all, but number one, what is your definition of all? And then number two, excuse me, you can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time.
That's good.
Maybe not
That's
all
good.
at the same time. I have a hair. It's so, I'll just keep it real. There's a hair in my face
Thank you.
now.
Thank you.
So when I talk about we can have it all, but maybe not all at the same time, I have to define what having it all means. And so for me, I can have it all. And I do want a very clean house. But while I'm trying to be a mother to my children, while I'm trying to be a wife to my husband, and he wants to make sure he gets some. Hello, anybody there? I'm trying to be a first lady. I'm trying to run several brands. I'm trying to be a therapist. Not even trying. I'm doing all of those things. So as I'm juggling all those balls, there is a big load of clothes that's right here in my face that have not been folded. And right over here to the left, there's a bunch of towels that's laying on the bed. And that bed is unmade. Now, I absolutely could make sure those towels are folded. I could make sure that bed is made. I could make sure those clothes over there are put up. But then I wouldn't have been available to do this Facebook Live. I wouldn't have had the time to prepare for this. I wouldn't have been available to have the heart-to-heart conversation I had with Ryan as soon as she got home. I wouldn't have been available to lay hands on my husband and plead the blood of Jesus over him before he went to an important meeting. So I absolutely can have it all. I just may not be able to have it all at the same time.
Robin, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. I love that. I think it puts it in proper perspective that ladies, we can be super, we just can't be super all at the same time. Now, here's why I need you to help us. How do we determine how to prioritize what we're going to be super at and how we're going to show up? I mean, how do you know, Robin? Give me some examples.
So I love that, Janice. So y'all remember, we're having a heart-to-heart dialogue now, and part of this is just for us to do this, for us to have this dialogue, and we're going to continue to do this in this group, When Girls Gather. And this is really the heart of what's going to happen at the Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon. Now, before I answer Janice's question, make sure you go to whengirlsgather.com to get your ticket. Because you're on live, you get a discount of $65. You can join me for $65. Just put in the code WGG, When Girls Gather. And if you register while you're online, you get the e-version book copy of my devotional, okay? So make sure you do that while we're on live. So Janice, to answer your questions, ladies, you can ask questions as we go along. What Janice asked me is, okay, so I just said you can have it all, but you may not be able to have it all at the same time. And first, you have to define what having it all means to you. What does that mean to you? Where do you get the idea of having it all? And so to answer your question, how do you prioritize that? It's one of my favorite questions. You have to get clear on your own values.
Okay.
My
Okay.
sisters, my sisters, you have got to slow your life down long enough to figure out what is priority to you. Okay, so let me give you a real practical example of that, Janice. I wish I had it over here in front of me. Gosh, I might be able to pull it out. Hold on, because this is live and in person. Let me see if this is it. Well, it's not in person, but it's live. I'm not going to be able to find it, but over the holidays, no, I can't find it. Over the holidays, I had a really good girlfriend. She's my sister, and her heart beats for children and doing fun activities for children. And she starts Christmas activities and Elf on the Shelf and 25 Days of Christmas. Like, she starts it immediately after Thanksgiving, right, y'all? She does not play. So she was sending us all of these worksheets and these projects and these things that we could be doing with our kids. And I was excited about it. I was like, yes, this is my year. I'm going to do all of those things. Yes, yes, yes. Riley is four. Poor Reagan and Ryan. They didn't get all of that 25 days, not 12 days, 25 days of Christmas.
Ooh,
but Riley's going to get it. So y'all, I was so excited about it. But then I had to remember, again, my husband still want me to have sex with him. I still got to go to all the cheerleading, all the gymnastics activities. I still have a full, so I started going through my whole caseload, Janice. So I had to stop and say, Robin, what is priority to you? Like for your girlfriend, that is priority for her. But is that priority for you? When you think about Ryan, who is 11, you think about Reagan, who is 9, and you think about Riley, who is 4. When they are reflecting back on their life and on their childhood, where does that fall in the list of priorities for you?
That's good, Robin.
And for me, and hear me, for me, while I do want my children to say, oh, Christmas was so much fun, I'm okay if Christmas was so much fun starting 5 days before Christmas.
That's good. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. So, Robin,
if it was the 20th to the 20th, for me, it didn't have to be 15 days because, listen to this, I have a major project in the works, a major project, and I cannot wait to share it. But for me, it was important that my girls were sitting on the sideline watching me with that major project because I want them to start getting exposed to the possibilities in their life.
That's
so
good.
When I had to balance for Robin, what is my priority? Do y'all hear me keep saying my husband wants me to have sex with him? I'm saying that intentionally because that's a key factor to the health of my marriage. And that is priority to me. So if I have to choose between a home-cooked meal that is dressing and corn on the cob and cabbage or whatever y'all be cooking for home-cooked meal, whatever that is. If I have to prioritize what that is, you're not going to get that every day of the week. I could probably handle that on Sunday. So listen, some of you might be hearing that, and there might be a judgment on your end for that. You might be saying, Robin, you're not cooking that man a home-cooked meal every night. But boo, that's your priority.
Yeah.
That's not mine.
That's good. Well, Robin, I love that you're saying that. And what I know about you is you prioritize your friends, and your friendships are very important to you. So you just gave us such a great example. I put my family first. I'm working on a major project. But Robin, that's now. You're calm. I know you. I've been on the other side when there's 8,000 things going on, and all those things are important to you. All of those things are priorities. So if you know Robin prioritizes her friendships. She prioritizes her man. She prioritizes her girls. She prioritizes her purpose. So everything is prioritized. So how is everything prioritized? If everything's prioritized, then what is priority? I think I want you to walk us through that practically because we go through seasons in life. One that I want to talk to you about in a minute. And so how do you prioritize practically what's important to you when there's so many major areas of priority?
Okay. So come on that tried to stop this whole little conversation. Okay, and that was nobody but my mama. All right, so
and you love your mama too. So how you put it in order? Go ahead.
So I have 4 major areas of my value system. So I want you guys to do this. I want you to identify what your top values are. And after this broadcast, I am going to do, I'm going to post something in the group so you can go through this exercise. The first thing you have to do is figure out what are your values. Remember, I said I live my life based on my priorities. Your priorities are your values. So first, Janice is right. If you don't even know what your top values are, then everything becomes critical.
Yes.
And so for me, there are 4 values that I live my life by. It doesn't mean the other things aren't important, but the 4 things that are most important to me go like this. Number 1, my relationship with the Lord. That is a value system for me. I have to make sure that I am connected to God, that I am engaged in my relationship with him. Secondly, is my family. And while my entire family is very important to me, I'm talking right now about my husband and my children. Of course, my mother and my sister, but right now I'm talking about my family, my husband and my children. Then it is my purpose and my destiny. I prioritize walking in purpose and destiny. And then lastly, my friendships. My relationships with my sister friends is critically important to me. So for me, those are the 4 things that I can tell you, Janice, and you know this. When I am not in a good space, when I'm feeling some kind of way, oh my gosh, right before this call, y'all, right before this Facebook Live, Janice said, I hear something. What's going on with you? I hear something in your voice. And I'm just kind of talking around it, just kind of talking high level. And then I narrow it down and it came to a friendship issue. So for me, I can always pinpoint my feelings of disconnect, my feelings of frustration. I can always pinpoint it to one of those 4 values not being honored. So to answer your question, Janice, once I've narrowed it down, but all of those things are pressing for me, that's when, and that's why I tell you that we are unapologetically faith-filled in this group. That's when I pull myself away. I have to get quiet and I have to ask God, Father, where should my focus be? Where do I prioritize right now?
Yes.
Tell me where I'm putting too much energy. Tell me where I'm putting too much focus. That's number 1. And Janice, you know, this is what I do. I will go in, I have a little area downstairs where I have my quiet time. The second thing I do is I'm very accountable. I have somebody in my life, whether it's my sister, whether it's Janice, whether it's another girlfriend, whether it's my my colleague who's a therapist, she's my pseudo therapist. I dump it out to them and I tell them, what am I missing? Show me where I'm off. Show me because I'm feeling all over the place. So I pray and I seek accountability. That's how
good.
I make sure I narrow that down. That's why these kind of conversations are important. That's why having real sister relationships are important. Because Janice, let's keep it real. Lee May is amazing. I don't play when it comes to Lee May. But often, Lee May is not the place where, as amazing as he is, all this crazy that's going on in my mind, he just says, baby, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot.
I mean, that must be the male sentence. I promise you, my husband said that the other day. He said, and then he said, "Oh, okay, that's not the answer."
Oh, okay. Just a few minutes ago, I called my husband and I said, "Babe, I just got a call from the doctor." I mean, I was going in. My husband gave me nothing. He said, "Oh, baby, it'll be all right." Sir, as far as I'm concerned, I'm on my deathbed, and you just telling me something, all right? And so, Janice, that's the reason why y'all these friendships are super important.
Okay, good. Oh, I'm so excited. I have like 2 things I need to ask you. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is, you know, we are blessed. We have each other. We have this relationship. You have other sister friends. For the woman who has found it difficult, I hear what you're saying. They hear us talk about this safe space, this place to be accountable, this place that's going to stretch me, but they don't have that. That's not, their friendships are not like that. You know, some of them, after they get off the live, they're going to want to ditch their friends and get some new ones. I want you to speak to that person. And to the woman who says, girl, you know, Robin, you different. You're a life coach. I can't even get no friends like that. What would you say?
So I love that. And I know a couple of my sisters on this right now saying, that's me, Robin. That sounds good, but this is not what happens. But let me tell you this. This is something that God wants for you. Yeah. Let's just start there. Now, let's be clear. Let's just be real. Erica, thank you for saying that. Yeah. Let's be real. Janice, this might surprise you when I say this. Zobi, this might surprise you. I'm not suggesting that you need 15 friends like that. I'm not even suggesting that you need 10 friends like this. I'm saying get you a good 2 or 3. I agree. Let's start there. Get you a good 2 or 3. Some of you are saying, Robin, I just need 1. Okay, let's just start with 1. But first of all, I want you to be clear that you don't, this in-depth relationship, a close friendship, you can't even effectively manage 10 or 15 close relationships like that. I had to learn the hard way. And so what you have to do is just get you 2 or 3. So this is the first thing I would ask you. What have you done personally to cultivate that kind of friendship?
That's
Eric,
good.
I'm so proud of you for acknowledging that you don't have that. And so I would say, what have you done personally to cultivate that kind of friendship? Because remember what we just talked about with Janice and I. That situation we're talking about happened... Sugar, I might be able to give you the date. That happened in 2013.
I can't. Did you see that? Zenobia, you see she looking down like, really? Okay, go on.
I had to look at the proof of what the issue was. So that happened in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
If we had have allowed that situation to end our friendship, here we are in 2019, and we wouldn't continue to have what we have.
Yeah.
So number one, you have to ask yourself, what have I done to cultivate that friendship? Because often the first sign of stuff or the first sign of an issue, we're ready to cut somebody off.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's one of the things we have to stop doing is being so. Let me just tell y'all the truth. If I see y'all post one more meme that says, "I'm cutting folks off. I'm done with," don't do it. Don't let's not post another one. Because one of the memes I found recently, Janice, and I sent it to you. Actually, our girlfriend Shaniqua sent it to me. and y'all, the post said, in 2019, I'm cutting myself off because I'm getting on my own nerves. So, number one, don't be so quick to cut somebody off. Number one, ask yourself, what have I done to cultivate the friendships? Number two, don't be so quick to cut yourself off. And then number three, you need to insert yourself in situations and in relationships or in situations where you can have that kind of friendship. How do you insert yourself? Going to things like the Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon.
Yes,
Hey,
yes,
going to
yes.
that. Making sure that you're finding people where you have some things in common, some like-minded things. One of the things I tell my clients who tell me they don't have any girlfriends, what do you like to do? Go find some other people who like to do that. And then start creating opportunities where you can build that relationship. Many times it's like dating. We're sitting on the side waiting on somebody to ask us out on a date.
Yes.
You might have to insert yourself in those situations. I tell my single girlfriends, and those of you who are on here, you can roll your eyes if you want to. But I tell my single girlfriends, he's not going to ring the doorbell. Go out there. So number one, what are you doing to cultivate it? Number two, don't be so quick to cut people off. Number three, insert yourself in situations where you can begin to build those relationships. And I should have said this one first, but number four, be prayerful about it. Remember, I
Yes.
started this off by saying God does not want you on isolation. His plan. Somebody's really trying to get me. That's not his plan or his intention for your life. So you have got to get yourself off of Isolation Island. So what is a practical thing? Number one, just find out what you're interested in. Do you like sewing? Go join a sewing group. If you like praying, go join a prayer group. If you like painting, just find yourself a way to insert yourself in some situations where you can begin to build relationships.
That's good, Robin. That's good. And I appreciate that. And I love the practicality of that. Two things I want to ask you. One, we talked about the Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon. That's a good place to insert yourself in. So we want to talk about that. Tell us more about the luncheon. How did it get started? What is this luncheon? I mean, Robin, I'm just going to be real with you, please. It's a lot of women's events going on. We got women's tea, women's breakfast, women's prayer breakfast. We got church. We got women's group. Why we need to come to this luncheon?
Absolutely. Before I answer that, I have to go to what Adrian said. Adrian said on here, but Robin, it's peaceful on Isolation Island. I think that is, it's something about the word peaceful that I'm not settled with.
It's the absence.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say it's the absence of conflict, and where there's no conflict, there's no growth. And so, I know this you're live, but Adrian.
But here's the deal, because that's it exactly, because the idea of peace, just because you're not like Janice just said, just because you're not having that conflict, there's some internal stuff that's probably going on with you. And when you say there's no drama, Adrian, while there might not be any drama, you're also not growing.
Right. Right.
You're also there's not anybody in your life who can help you see your stuff.
Yes.
Oh,
go ahead.
Zenobia said avoidance lives on. Zenobia, what can we send her a gift? She said
right.
Avoidance lives on Isolation Island. Brenda says your heart is safe on Isolation Island. But remember this. So remember, if we build a house and we put a big fence around the house, and we say nobody's going to get in this fence to hurt me, well, then nobody can get in the fence to love you either.
That's good.
You're closing yourself off from opportunities for you to be loved, for you to be supported. Because the same, hear me when I say this, the same ones those of us who say, I don't want no drama, I don't want any of that, are the same times when we'll say things like, nobody is there for me. When I need somebody,
Absolutely.
nobody is
Absolutely.
there for me. It's the
Absolutely.
same thing. And again, we got to keep going back to the same way somebody hurts you is the same way you may hurt somebody. And that's the beauty of relationships, because it gives us an opportunity to grow with one another. Now, again, I don't want you guys to get this confused. Hear me when I say this. Thank you, Adrian, for saying that. Adrian said, true, there's no outside drama, but definitely internal turmoil. Adrian, if you were right here, I would give you a hug. Thank you for saying that. It's absolutely true. And so one of the things, I lost my thought right there because I'm trying to read these comments.
No, yeah, okay.
Listen to this. I can literally feel the stagnation that results from Isolation Island. There's a longing for friendship. That is why I gravitated to this group.
That's
Erica, I'm so
good.
glad you're here.
That's
Thank you
good.
for sharing
That's
that.
good.
And so this is what I was about to say, Janice. Let's not fake the funk, y'all. You know I'm going to keep it real. Again, yes, there are times when you are in a friendship and you feel hurt by that friendship. You feel disappointed by that friendship. And hear me, anybody there? Let me tell you this. There are times when you might have to cut some relationships off. I'm just saying y'all pulling out your scissors too quick.
Yeah.
And there are times that relationships just outgrow one another. But you need to let that be God-led and not flesh-led.
That's good. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. So first of all,
you
that
said
is
why
it.
the lunch?
I'll come back to it in a minute. That's good. It does need to be, I think that's a good point, God-led and not self-led, because, you know, one of the things I've just learned in my relationships is this quote, and really is my relationship with you, Robin, that really helped this drive this point home for me. Number one, it's hard to see the picture when you're the frame. It's hard to see the picture when you're the frame. And there are things about myself that I'm unable to see outside of relationship with somebody else. And if all the relationships that we're in are the ones where we're the person giving, we're the person that's strong, we're the person that's right, we're the person that never messes up, you don't get to see yourself. You don't get to see what needs to change. So I love that you said, let it be God-led, because in the cases of, I'll be honest, my closest relationships right in my life right now all happened within the last 7 years. Closest. They were birthed in the last 7 years. It's not like my closest relationship. So I just want to encourage, Robin, I would love for you to help to encourage the ladies when it's not just about what people do to you, but it really is how you handle what they do to you, what you make of it. I mean, stuff is going to happen. Stuff is going to happen. So, Robin, you said that we need to know there comes a time when we cut somebody off. How do we even know when to cut them off?
So let's go. I'm going to answer that. Adrian said, how do you let new people in? And then Crystal said, what if God keeps you isolated? Crystal, I want to answer that. What if God keeps you isolated? Because there are seasons in our life where God might want to be dealing with us directly. And like there are times when I'm dealing with something in my life, and my sister and I were just talking about this, Janice. There are times when I am in a space and I want to call you. I don't need that. But I want to call. I want to call you and rehearse the situation. I want to call my sister and rehearse the situation. And I'll call Zenobia and none of y'all giving me what I need. None of y'all giving me what I need. It's in those moments that I know that it's because the Lord wants to deal with me.
Yeah, that's good.
And
that's
so,
good.
Crystal, to answer your question, I don't believe that God has us in isolated moments. I don't believe that God puts us on Isolation Island permanently. I don't even think he puts us on Isolation Island long term. But there might be seasons or a situation where he's saying, look, I want you to pull aside because I want to deal with that. But remember, the Bible says there is wisdom, not in just counsel, in a multitude of counsel.
That's good.
And so you want to make sure that you're in a place where you have that multitude of counsel. And again, it's kind of like that idea that, Janice, where people say, I'm just waiting on God.
Ma'am.
I haven't I haven't stepped out on that business because I'm just waiting on God. I haven't cut that relationship out because I'm just waiting on, and God is like, hey, boo, I'm waiting
I'm
on
waiting
you.
on you. Boom.
So I don't believe that it's that God just keeps us isolated. I think
That's good.
often it's our fear. It's our fear of being vulnerable. I remember on our Facebook Live before, we talked about the fear of vulnerability. It's our fear of being vulnerable. Um, so, to your question, you said, how do we know if it's God led or if it's flesh led?
Yes.
That what you said?
Yep.
And so,
Mm-hmm.
one of the ways I know when it's God wanting me to transition that relationship, or when it is me just wanting to transition it, often it is when the situation is pulling something out in me that's uncomfortable,
That's
is when I know
mm-hmm.
it's flesh led. When the situation is, hear me, y'all hear this, and this is hard to admit. I know I'm ready to cut. Because I'm just not dealing with her no more. I know that it is my stuff, or I know that it's flesh led when it's highlighting an issue that I've had in another situation.
That's good. That's good.
When it's a common situation where I've seen that show up in other relationships. Again, y'all, this is why it's so important to be in tune with your stuff. That's why it's so important to tell yourself the truth. Let me give y'all this quote or this idea that I've understood lately. If we are not honest about what we feel, then the enemy can take us out. When we're
Mm.
not honest about what we're feeling, it makes us vulnerable to the enemy taking us out. How does he take us out? With our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so when
good.
I'm not honest, when I don't tell the truth, when I don't say, Robin, you ready to cut her off just because that situation is highlighting something that makes you feel uncomfortable and you're just trying to protect yourself, you're just trying to avoid conflict, you're just trying to pull away, Robin, that's your stuff.
That's
Because the
good.
Bible says, he who tries to save his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for me will save it. So when I find myself in self protection mode and I'm trying to pull away and I'm trying to, because it's making me uncomfortable, that's probably me.
That's good. No, that's really good, Robin. That's really good. Okay, so
And
talk.
Dennis, I know when I don't want to call you, when I know I don't want to call you, I know I don't want to call my sister or whoever else is holding me accountable because I already know that y'all are going to show me, then I know that that's me.
That's good. No, that's good. That's good, Robin. That's good. That's good. This has you've made it. The common theme here is we got to know ourselves, and we got to be willing to look at ourselves. And before we can have relationships, enjoy relationships, thrive in relationships, we got to be looking at, be willing to look at commonalities. I want to talk about the sisterhood luncheon because I don't know. I had been a whole lot of women something, but until I came to your sisterhood luncheon, I had never been to anything like that in my entire life. What was the motivation behind that?
So thank you for saying that, Janice. And ladies, this conversation is to kind of give you a glimpse of the heart to heart that happens at the Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon. It's not just a gathering where we eat. It's not just a gathering where we network. It is my prayer that it is an experience for you. This year is going to a whole nother level. But every year it is an experience. It is where I create intentional safe spaces for women to connect with other women, for us to let down our guard, to let us let down our pretense, for us to understand what we have in common with one another. One of the things, Janice, you know that I believe is that we have to normalize the stuff we are dealing with. Because
Yes.
when somebody else, and I'm gonna come to this in a minute. Janice, remind me to share. I'm not gonna get ahead of myself. Remind me to share the common statement that women are making when they come to see me for therapy.
Okay.
Remind me
Now,
to answer
okay.
that. So the sisterhood luncheon allows us just to connect heart to heart, where we begin to see other women who are dealing with the same stuff we're dealing with. See other women who are trying to figure it out. See other women who are on the path and on the journey. And so the Celebrating Sisterhood luncheon has gone on. This will be the sixth year. The
Mm.
sixth year that we do this luncheon. So let me start with Friends with Vision, my original network. It started about 10 years ago in my house. I just asked some friends to come over, Janice, and we just kind of talked about our vision, what we wanted to see happen, what we wanted to do that year. We had little think we even had picture frames, and we had little journals, and we just kind of talked about what we wanted to do. Well, from there, I started hosting this gathering. We did it 2 years at a little small restaurant. Then we did it 2 more years at another hotel. Then we went to a bigger hotel. And so over the years, it's just been a great experience for women to come together. But after the 2016 luncheon,
I was going to ask you, Robin. Robin, what happened after 2016 luncheon?
y'all, y'all, I told y'all we keep it real. Y'all, in 2016, we held the Celebrating Sisterhood luncheon, but it was actually called Exhale. Remember, Janice?
Yes, I
Exhale.
do. Mm-hmm.
By that point, this was the fifth luncheon. I wanted to do something really big. I wanted to take it to another level. I combined the luncheon with the retreat that I'd done before. We went to a really, really fancy, antsy hotel. And when I tell you, y'all, it took every ounce of faith that I could muster up to get through that luncheon, to get through that event. Janice, what happened like a week before? How many people do we have registered?
Y'all.
It's my business, but you hear me say we because Janice was holding my hand. A week before, now y'all, this was a big deal. It cost
It was
a
huge.
lot of money. This is not funded by anybody. This is one day I'm gonna be financially abundantly above all that we can ask or think. But that isn't what was happening in 2016. And so, Janice, a week before, how many were registered?
2 people. Robin, it was 2 people. Oh my God, it was 2 people.
A week before the luncheon in 2016. And when I tell you the deposit that was, y'all, I was shook. I was shook. Now, thank God, it's way more than 2 registered now. Janice, give me a virtual high five, sister. Give me a high five.
We got it.
It's way more than that now. But y'all, it was 2 people registered. And so we got through it. It ended up being phenomenal and amazing. It was incredible. My sister came from out of town. One of her best friends came from out. It was amazing.
It was.
But y'all, it took everything out of me. It felt like I had gotten a sucker punch. It felt overwhelming. And I got through the event on adrenaline. But after that, I just didn't have the capacity at that point. My faith did not have the capacity to even stretch to believe I could do it again.
Talk about that, Robin. Talk about that.
So that was 2016. So I didn't have after that luncheon, I had to battle the enemy. The enemy was telling me, see, you barely made it through that. Why do you think, Robin? Why do you think you can gather these women together? You've been doing this. Now it's time for you to go ahead and stop it. Like, that's just too much. I was literally fighting the enemy. Well, then my husband and I start getting on this path of launching this brand new ministry. So Janice, I could not muster up the strength to figure out a luncheon that almost took me out the year before and figure out what it was going to be a first lady.
I love it.
And so I had to put it on sabbatical. I had to decide to allow God to restore some things, to give myself a break. I had to give myself a pause. And I had to be okay with the pause. I had to be okay with not being able to be all things, Janice, to all people.
Robin, first of all, thank you for your vulnerability. You said 3 things I want to just pull out that you just shared. You said, my faith didn't have the capacity. Robin, you are a woman of faith. You are God's girl. You are Miss Faith. Until life happens. And life happening showed you where your faith capacity was. And it would have been good if that's all you had going on. But you said right after this big, huge faith jump that just wiped you out, you went straight into a battle with the enemy. And then, I don't know, you just glossed over it. You said, my husband and I were on this journey of starting a church. So you just came out this huge um, journey into that sucked the capacity, took all the capacity of your faith. So it's like you've gone to capacity. This is all I got. This is all the faith I got. Then the enemy had the nerve to not let you have a break. He did not rest. So you tired. He's still fighting because he don't take no breaks or no naps. And so you in an all-out battle. You guys, now your family, not Robin's vision, but your family, your husband is taking this big faith jump. And you said, and I needed some things to be restored. Robin, it sounds like you needed to be restored. So the question I have is, how did you feel okay saying this going to have to take a minute? I'm going to have to just pause this. How did you fight the thought that people going to think I fell off? I quit. I mean, how did you fight the mind battles so that you can actually be restored during that time, not just be in that time?
Well, it goes back to the top of our conversation. And remember, we talked about my priorities and how I order my priorities, and I try to live my life based on my priorities. Well, here we have one of my major priorities, one of my major values, which is walking in purpose and destiny, got challenged really hard because I gave and even though the luncheon turned out amazing, those of you who were there, you would have no idea that I was that shook. Even though it turned out so great, the emotional and spiritual energy that I exerted, it took everything from me. I just didn't have it to muster up again. Well, then I am now dealing with the other value, my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, being a wife that honors her husband, who submits to her husband, and who supports her husband is a primary value for me. So I had to weigh. It was almost if, Janice, I really didn't have a choice. I believe that we know God works everything out for the good. And so the Lord used what the enemy thought was going to take me out. The Lord used that to be the catalyst for me to rest in that moment. Because see, Janice, think about it. Trying to launch a church does take everything in me.
Yes.
I did not have I'm only one person. I did not have the capacity to put everything that I would be putting in trying to muster up to do that luncheon again and muster up what it took to do the launch of the church. So the Lord used what the enemy thought was going to take me out.
Yes.
Because I was so burnt out from the luncheon, I didn't even have the motivation to do it, Janice. It was like,
let
me just go ahead and it was the enemy battling, but the Lord used it. Let's just rest that for a minute so that I could then put my energy and focus over here with my husband. So it wasn't even that I felt that it was as conscious as that, but as I look back on it, I now see how the Lord was using that. And quite frankly, I've shared this before. I was still trying to figure out, and I have been, and I still am, how do you balance Michelle Obama, what she talks about in Becoming, supporting your man and all his big dreams, and then also following your dreams. And so I just had to give myself the opportunity to rest. I had to give myself that space.
That's good. So Robin, I know, I think we're getting close to the end of our time together, are we? I want to make sure I'm honoring
Yeah, we're a little bit over time, but we messed up a little bit on our beginning. So we're going to go a little bit further. Ladies, remember, you can ask us any questions that you want to ask. But Janice, I think you have a couple of more questions you're going to make sure we hit.
Yeah, well, so far, thank you, because that's what I'm trying to ask right now. So, okay. Actually, the season that you just spoke of, the cycle that we just spoke of, is very similar. Like, if it were me, I'm just going to be real honest. So you kept going. You took a break in one area, but you were going in other areas. And I'm set up, I'm just going to take a nap on life. So I quit life right now. I check back in when I'm ready. And I know there are a lot of women that are like that, like me. They're at their wits' end. Something that was major. And what you didn't say, and because I was there, I had the luxury of being there with you leading up to it. It took a lot leading up to it. You don't remember being here at my house and, quitting me and running. in the planning
Yes,
session
I
about them.
fired her again as a friend and just left the house.
So it was like, you know, it was a lot. It was exhausting leading up to it. But what do you say to the woman who's like, I'm done. I'm just done. I'm at my wit's end. Like, how do you continue living, producing, being effective when you're at your wit's end? Because you were able to do that, Robin, through these three major things.
So one of the things we have to do, ladies, is we have to give ourselves permission to put the oxygen mask on ourselves
That's
first.
good.
It's called oxygen therapy. And I need every one of my sisters who's on here right now, if you watch the live after this, I need you to learn to put the oxygen mask on yourself first.
That's
One
good.
of the lies we believe is that we cannot stop, that we cannot rest, that we have to do it all, we have to be it all. Ladies, Jesus himself, the Bible says, he got weary from his travels, so he rested.
That's good. That's
We have
good.
got to learn to pause our lives long enough to rest. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Now listen, Janice, I can't tell you how to put the oxygen mask. I can't tell you what that looks like for you. I can't tell you, Patricia, what that looks like for you. Angela, thank you for joining the live. I can't tell you what that looks like for you. But that's where you have to figure out, what is it that fuels me? What is it that lets me build myself back up? How do I make sure that I'm re-energizing myself? So if that's you, if you're saying enough is enough, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I find myself going, nobody is fueling me, I'm just giving, giving, giving. Well, my sister, I would say stop,
That's good, Robin.
pause, and ask yourself the question, what do I do to fuel me?
That's
Hear me,
so good. That's so
and
good.
hear me clearly. Ladies, it is, y'all are not gonna like this, so I hate to say it, but Janice, I'm gonna say it to you. I'll just say it to you, Janice, so
Go
they
ahead.
can't
Just
get
say it to
mad.
me. Okay.
Janice,
Hmm.
it is nobody else's responsibility to
Mm,
prioritize Janice.
mm,
It is
mm.
nobody else's, it is nobody else's responsibility to tell you how to prioritize you. That is your responsibility. You are responsible for making sure you're putting the oxygen mask on yourself first. If you need permission, here is your permission.
That's good, Robin. That's good.
Here's your permission. Remember, I shared the story for those of you who have never heard it. I shared the story that when I had my first daughter, who's 11 now, we got on the plane. The stewardess went through their little thing, and she said, if something happens to this plane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on anybody else. Well, of course, that was ludicrous to me. I said, if something happens to this plane, I'm putting the mask on Ryan first, and then I'll put it on me. But the Holy Spirit in that moment said, if you're passed out, you can't do anything for Ryan. So, ladies, there's nothing honorable. There's
That's good.
nothing honorable about you playing the martyr. There's nothing honorable about you making sure that everybody else is taken care of and you're never taken care of. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And again, only you know what that looks like. For me,
Mm.
what that looks like is I will tell and I've done this many years, I'll tell my husband, hey, babe, hey, I need a couple of days. I'm going to check you into this hotel over here just for 48 hours. And y'all, we're not fancy. I go right on up here to Stonecrest. It's a little hotel right here. Your husband might not get noticed that. Don't tell him Robin told you to go to a hotel. But that's what I do. One of the things I do is I'll say, hey, babe, I just need, can you just take the girls? Just let me have at least 5 hours in the house by myself. Okay, your husband won't do that? That's okay. Just go driving. Maybe your thing is just driving. Maybe you
Mm-hmm.
go to the mall and just walk around. You're not even buying some. Whatever you got to do to fuel you. Another way I fuel myself is I give me some pills. I wrap my hair up.
I knew he was going to say it. Some Pillsbury
I give
chocolate
me some
chip.
Pillsbury chocolate chip cookies. I put on these fuzzy socks that I got right now. And then I sit down and I find me some TV show that ain't about nothing. And I
Yeah.
put a sign on the door, leave me alone.
Yeah.
And see, Janice, because here's the deal. Because I consistently pour into my girls, because I'm consistently available to my husband, I have the luxury because I'm making those deposits that when I need to pause, I can pause.
That's so good, Robin. That's so good. Oh my gosh. 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 Okay. Robin. I got two questions, but I definitely, this one question just came up from this. You talked about the deposits you made in your family, talked about the deposits you made into your husband. And so when it's time for you to pause and take time for you, because you've made consistent deposits in your husband and your children, you're free. What about your friendships? What if you're in a season where you need to pause and your friends just don't get it? What do?
It's called boundaries.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
There's this B word, and it's called boundaries. Now, first of all, I will say this, Janice, one of the things I find is that the strong woman, the woman who's always there for everybody, a lot of times that woman, and I'm that girl, a lot of times we find our identity in that.
Mm-hmm.
We find our identity in being the one that's always available, the one that can always come through, the one that always has the good advice, the one that's always ready to pray, the one that's always able to pull somebody through their tough time. We find our identity in that. And so when it is time, when you know that you don't have it anymore, you still find yourself doing that because you still want to be the one who is always available. You don't want it to be said that you're not available, that you're not there for them, whatever that thing is. So first you got to tell yourself the truth.
Yes, that's good.
Tell yourself the truth. Why am I doing what I am doing? Why do I feel the need to continue to do it when I know I can't anymore? So that's number one. You got to tell yourself the truth. Then number two, what I said is I often find that the strong woman, she doesn't speak up. Again, because she finds her identity in that. Or Janice, she's telling herself they're not going to care. Or whatever it is, she's not saying, hey, I need to pause right now. Then number three, I would say, even once you've told yourself the truth, once you've spoken up, if that friend is still not able to handle, that friend is still pulling on you, you set the boundaries, hear this, and allow God to do the work that God needs to do in that friend's heart.
That's so
because
good.
Because that's a work that the Lord has to do. Yes. You cannot do that for that friend. That's something that the Lord has to do. Now, you've done your part. You've told yourself the truth. You've spoken up and said, yes, look, boo. Hey, Janice, girl, I know you need to talk about X, Y, and Z, but honey, I can't do it right now. I am at my wit's end now. I'm probably going to be available in a couple of days, but right now I can't. If Janice texts me and say, well, no, I need you now, then I have to stick to that boundary.
Yes, that's good.
Stick to that boundary. And I have to be able to say, because again, I don't even want you to be that dependent on me.
That's right. That's good, Robin. I think that's what is important, I think, for us strong women, all my hands and feet raised. It's clear, it's important that we establish boundaries, communicate, and then we got to honor the boundaries. I actually am coming off of a season of rest. I've been out of pocket since December. And, just time with my family, time with myself. I probably started late November. And it feels great. But I haven't been the show up friend. I haven't been the take all the calls friend. I haven't been the I'm going to pray you through. I might record you a prayer, boo, but I'm not getting on the phone. But I'm rejuvenated and I'm fueled. And I mean, that's one lesson you really helped me throughout our relationship is just understanding boundaries. And I really want to talk about, and let me say this. I really want to just encourage the ladies to know that the relationship that I have with Robin, although it started in my mid-30s, I have a relationship with some of the women that I met at Sisterhood Luncheon that's really close. That I'm like, where did I meet you? Girl, at the luncheon.
At the CSL.
So I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, now at this stage of my life and career, I'm busy with my family and a lot of stuff. Robin, I got a lot of stuff that I got going on. So I don't get to go. I choose not to go to lots of events. But I make it my business to come to Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon because every year, every time, there's something that I need that I didn't expect. There's a refreshing, there's a connection, there's an insight, there's a period for me to just woo-saw and reflect with other women who are woo-sawing and reflecting. And I'm like, girl, we crying and laughing right now. We're doing all that right now. It's amazing. So what can we look for? So thank you first, Robin, for creating that safe space. I don't know if I ever told you because normally we rolling up our sleeves and making it happen at the time. But Robin, it's amazing. And thank you for doing it. Thank you for the courage to keep putting it on year after year. And to keep elevating yourself so that each year it's a different experience. Each year is more inspiring. Each year I learn something, meet new people, connect with old people. So thank you for that. Now, what can we expect this year?
Okay,
What can we
so
say?
y'all, this year is going to another level. So first of all, I want to say when I'm working with people, Janice, and you and I have talked about this a lot. When I'm working with people, there are three things that I always do. Number one, whether it's in marriage, whether it's with the women I'm working with, whether it's counseling or coaching, speaking, there are three things I try to do. Whatever somebody is dealing with, I try to, number one, normalize it.
That's good.
Then number two, I once we normalize, and normalize is, girl, listen, anybody dealing with that would be feeling that kind of way. It's normal to feel that way. Number two, I try to empathize and let them know I'm sorry that you're dealing with this. Then number three, it's time to strategize. And that's where
Okay.
people have to determine if I'm the one they want to partner with them to go through situations or to deal with their stuff. Because number one, we're going to normalize. Number two, we're going to empathize. But eventually, we're going to get to strategize. And that's what's going to happen at the Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon. All three of those things, Janice. Whatever 2018 was like for you, whatever 2017 was like for you, going into 2019, I'm going to tell you, girl, you're not by yourself.
That's
There's a
good.
sister right by you who has dealt with what you are dealing with. I am bringing a few women that I personally, over my journey, that I personally look up to, that I personally respect, that I have personally called to help me deal with some tough stuff. They are going to be a panel of women. I've never done a panel before, Janice, but they're going to be a panel of women. They're going to do just what you and I are doing right now. I'm going to take some of the overarching principles from the book Becoming and from Michelle Obama's book Becoming. And I'm going to ask them about their journey. I'm going to say to them, how did you deal with the fact that you were mad, disappointed, hurt, angry with your husband, but y'all still made it through? I'm going
Right.
to ask them, what did you do when your child was acting a fool, but you still had to go to work? What did you do when your body started changing and you didn't understand how that was happening? I'm going to ask them the tough questions about their journey of becoming. So
That's
we're going to
good.
have this amazing panel. And then next, we're going to have every year we do some type of vision casting exercise to help you get clear about your vision in 2019. What is it that you need to focus on? What is it that you need to zone into? What is that one thing you're going to accomplish this year? Next, Janice, we're going to make sure that the women have the courage. I keep using this word, but the courage to see the full story that they have experienced. Because, Janice, what often happens, we want to ignore that part.
Robin.
We don't want to talk about that part. We want to pretend that part didn't happen. But you need all of it to fully understand your story.
That's good. That's
Let
good.
me say this, Dennis, and oh gosh, I'm tiptoeing on this because I don't want to cause no waves. How can I say this without? Uh, I'm just gonna say sometimes, when we on Facebook
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram and we scrolling through and we see people's journey, we're only seeing one part of the journey.
Yeah, of course, the
We don't
highlight
see
reel.
all the other stuff that goes into it. Janice, that's one of the reasons why I like to tell people, yes, I have on this jacket and this cute little top, but down here is some pajamas. What keeps happening right now is I keep getting a text message from my daughter Ryan saying, "Are you done yet? Because I want to come in the room." My husband just texted me a few minutes ago and said, "Is dinner cooked?"
Robin.
Sir, yes, the frozen casserole that I put in the oven right before this, it's sitting on the stove, sir. So I want to tell you the full story. I want to give you the full story so that you're not having a false expectation of what the reality is.
That's
So during the
good.
Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon, we're going to talk about the full story.
That's
I'm going to
good.
help you embrace your entire story so that you can see that that drama, even that trauma, is a part of the journey God is taking you on. And we're
That's
going to
so
have some
good.
fun too. You're going to meet some new friends.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited. So for the lady who's like, Robin, I hear you, boo. I hear you. I hear you. This is the place to be. I'm excited. I need to be there. What do they need to do? How do they get their spot? What do they need to do like to sign up?
So, ladies, I would love for you to join me at the Celebrating Sisterhood Luncheon. Just go to whengirlsgather.com, get your ticket. But listen, because you're on this live, or if you are watching this live up for the next 24 hours. This is going to end tomorrow at 8 p.m. It's over tomorrow at 8 p.m. You can put in the code WGG. That's for When Girls Gather. Put in the code WGG and you can come for just $65. So go grab your ticket now. Go to whengirlsgather.com, put in the code WGG, and you get to come to the luncheon for just $65, whether you're watching right now or whether you're watching the replay. But listen, for those of you who are on live right now, right before I hit end, if you go right now and register, you're going to get a free e-version of my devotional, Live Intentionally, Fully Engaged. It's a 52-week devotional, and you're going to get full access to it. But you got to do that before the live ends. Before I hit finish, you got to go do that right now. So make sure you grab your copy. Go to whengirlsgather.com.
Okay, all right, Robin, I want to open it up to see if any of the ladies have any questions before we close. I did have one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, but I want to give, as we get ready to go, I want to bring this up. So, ladies, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'll ask Robin. If you have any questions you just want to ask among ladies, anything that you want Robin to talk about, or know if we're going to talk about at Celebrated Sisterhood Luncheon, anything we talked about today you wanted to learn more about, please comment below.
I got to show y'all something. Hold on. I'm trying to show y'all something so you don't see all the messiness in my house. But let me show y'all something real quick. This is what I don't understand. Y'all tell me what help me understand right here. Can y'all tell me, why does that say Lee May as to
Why, Lee?
Lee May, what you doing?
You're not even a girl, Lee. Okay, let me ask my question. Okay, this is my final question, Robin. You talked a lot about relationships. You talked a lot about friendships. We talked about when to cut somebody off. We talked about how the value of friendships and how it helps us to see who we are. And so, also to work through tough stuff. I know Zenobia, he's doing the most. I wanted to say this, as a woman who has embraced the fact that I like women, and we cool because I like myself. And that really was all about. I like myself. That's why I like women. I realized, Robin, that all safe spaces are not created equal.
Girl.
And so I just want you to talk to us about that. What do you think of the idea of how do you navigate that I can be this kind of open with this girlfriend, this kind of open with this girlfriend? Like, I mean, I realize this is something that we're not taught. So when you get burned, because I saw somebody say that in a quote earlier tonight on a thing, you get burned by somebody, you write them off because you're expecting them to be a safe space that they're not designed to be. They can be, Kiki Kaka, homegirl, let's play space, safe space. So talk to us about that. Talk to us about that.
So first of all, I love what you said, because this is something very important, ladies. A lot of times we're putting pressure on relationships for people to be something to us that, number one, they did not ask to. Y'all should write this down. Number one, that they did not ask to be. Number two, that they don't have the capacity to be. Or number three, that they don't want to be.
That's good.
So let's just start right there. Many times in relationships, we are putting a demand on someone, or we're having an expectation of someone, or we're thinking somebody's going to be a certain thing in our life. Number one, they didn't even ask to be that. Or number two, they don't have the capacity to be that. Or number three, they don't want to be that. So we have to make sure that we're not projecting a need, projecting a desire, demanding something of somebody that is not even in their wheelhouse. So that's number one. Number two, we have to give relationships time. Two of my girlfriends are here, Janice. And again, I'm not going to call them out. I'm not gonna do that, because if I do that, I'm going to get a text message. So I will not call them out. But two of my friends are on here who are dating. Okay? Mm-hmm. And they're often asking me, just today, so what you think about if we were to do, if I were to do, if my friend wants to do this or my friend wants to do that? And I'm always like, that's too soon. They moving too fast. Slow down. Let's build the relationship progressively. That's in dating and even in friendship. You got to build relationships progressively.
That's
you
good.
Cannot meet a new friend. You cannot meet somebody and then tell them, when I was 2 years old.
Ma'am.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. I'm
the
sorry.
relationship cannot carry, that relationship can't carry the weight of whatever secret you were about to tell that happened when you were 2 years old. Give the relationship time to
That's good.
develop and build into that. You have to allow the space for it to build. Okay. So, number one, make sure you're not putting a demand that isn't even what they want or need. Number two, make sure you give the relationship time. And then here's my number three, I test friendship.
That's good. That's good.
Let me
Let's
let's put it out there. I test friendships, not in a shady kind of way, but I try to see kind of where we're going. If I show you my shoulder, I need you to show me your shoulder. Because if I start sharing something with you, let's say I say something like, yesterday my husband kind of frustrated me and X, Y, and Z, and you never share anything about your situation, then you're my therapist at this point.
mm,
This is not a mutual friendship. Either you're my therapist or you're my mentor. See, when
right.
my clients come in, I'm not, although I do kind of share, but if my clients come in and they're telling me something about their spouse, I'm not saying, well, I need you to help me with Lee. No, because they're sharing with me. I might use something as an example, but it's not an equal sharing. So I make sure that I'm not getting butt naked in the relationship and you still fully clothed.
Right, right.
That's why you let relationships build progressively.
I love that, Robin. First of all, I love test the relationship. I love that. That's absolutely incredible. Number two, build equality within a relationship. Look for equality. And I think the third thing I got out of that you just said is to look at the type of relationship. Because you might be looking for a girlfriend and they might be trying to be your mentor. And you're like, oh,
Or your business partner.
I didn't know you were trying to tell me what to do. So I think that's really, really good. I think because I think all the
I didn't know you
time,
were trying to tell me what to do.
because I think
What we're gonna do is write a note. Will you be my friend? Yes,
right,
no, or maybe so.
yes. I'm like, what kind of friend is this? Because it's good. Because I think sometimes people expect from you what you're not trying to give, or they don't put themselves in a role that you're not even asking them to be in. Boo, come back. I was trying to do this, and you trying to be up here. Like, so I think that's really, really good. I think it's important, and I think sometimes in our quest, we come to calls like this. It's like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm about to do this thing. I'm about to have some friends. And you can set yourself up for failure. And then you'll be doing this little thing that I do. I be double dutching with friends. Like, I don't know, you my friend. I don't know. I can't friendship with you right now. So,
She said Janice is out of control.
I can't help it over here.
And I mean, because let's talk about it realistically, y'all. You guys can go ahead and log off if you want to. We're just going to keep flowing a little bit because I'm enjoying it. Because Janice is even talking about us. We did not go into, when we met each other, you guys, through a business opportunity. Y'all, let me just tell you, y'all might not know
Yes.
this. Janice is the reason I was on the Katie Bo show. Well, my gifting and my calling was the reason I was on for 5 years. Janice connected me to Katie Bo. I used to write. How many of you guys are familiar with Streaming Faith? It's a long time ago. Janice used to work for Streaming Faith, and she transitioned into her own business. Well, I used to write for Streaming Faith. So one day, Janice was looking for
Relationship people.
guests
Mm-hmm.
to be on Katie Bo's show because she was handling the content for his show. So she was looking for somebody. So she was going through Streaming Faith. She found me, reached out to me and said, hey, love for you to be on the Katie Bo show. I had never heard of Katie Bo before. Make a long story short, I got on the show and we continued our relationship. Well, Janice and I then would begin to talk back and forth. I was talking to her about business and about some business things I wanted to do. She shot down all my vision and told me I was out of control. But she really was helping me to see it differently. And we just began to develop a friendship. But I brought that up because it wasn't, I had, still do, plenty of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in the market. I just said it. But I just wasn't in the market for anything new. Mm-hmm. But the relationship just continued to develop. And so some of this, y'all, Janice and I are 1 + 1 = 2 girls. We
Mm-hmm.
are agenda girls. We are steps. We want steps. You show me one, you show me two. If you've heard me talking, I've said number 1, Number two. Number three. That's just our personality. But y'all, most of this, you got to let the Lord lead it. You got to let the Lord develop it. When you start changing your heart and you start being open to it. See, some of my sisters on here, y'all not even open to it. You're not even giving yourself a chance for it. Just start opening your heart and God will navigate it. Thank you, Tammy. Zenobia asks, just so that I could say it, what are some of the ways you can follow me? Just go to robinmayonline.com or any of my social media at Robin May Online. Jen, is there anything else we haven't covered?
No, I was looking at my notes. Nope. Okay, hold on, make sure. We covered everything. Yes. All right, let's end with this. I promise. This is the last one. Okay, so Robin, I've heard you say for as long as I've known you, there's power in connecting with women. You've been saying that. Why? I want you to talk about that power, like what we have right now, what the power, like we almost can't even explain it on this live, what it is that we have that I feel like for me, because I was the woman that said I don't do woman, I would have missed out on. I just would have missed out on a great deal of value, power, and my identity had I not connected with women. I want to hear your perspective on that.
So I'm almost obsessed with it. I'm low-key obsessed with it. And I get, Janice, and you often have to remind me that my filter is the way it is because of my experience.
Yeah.
I want to be clear. I've been hurt by women. Listen, Janice and I are in a sorority, Ski-Wee, Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Founders Day tomorrow.
You just got to know that, and let's just check us out tomorrow. Just stay on our timeline tomorrow. You'll know all about the beautiful sisterhood. But I mentioned that only because we are around women.
Yes.
And I have been hurt by women. I've been disappointed. Listen, I done been cut off by at least one woman I know. She cut me off.
You know you cut off?
My feelings about it, Chad. I still ain't quite sure why she cut me off. But she was like, I just can't do Robin no more. So I have been there. I'm still in my feelings about it. But anyway, so I have been there. So I'm not saying this to imply that all relationships are all hunky-dory and great all the time. But I do know once you can find your village, once you can find your crew, once you can find your tribe, those are the people that hold you down, Janice. Those are the people that have your back. Those are the people who can shine a light on your stuff. Those are the people that hold you when you're crying. Those are the people that yes, ma'am, Allison, our Founders Day. Those are the people who can hear the sound. I told you I have this major project coming up that I'll be able to share soon. My line sister didn't even hear my voice. She just read the tone in my text and said, I'm on my way. That is from cultivating and creating relationships that show up in the time of need. And so, again, I'm not suggesting that you need 20 of those. But what I am saying is you need to find you a good 2 or 3. A lot of times in these relationships, again, one of the things I keep saying over and over again is that true friendship helps you see your stuff. I think that's the main power for me. True friendships help you see your stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
If we're going to develop, if we're going to be the full woman, y'all, we could stay surface. We could stay surface, or we could be women that are fearless. We could be women that are walking boldly. We can be women that are walking courageously. We can be women that laugh at the without fear of the future. But that doesn't happen on Isolation Island. That happens in real relationships. Let me end with this. One of the beautiful things that happens in friendship, again, is it helps you see yourself. Again, it's my favorite statement, is that you don't know how others are experiencing you.
That's good.
You don't know how others are experiencing you. Your intention might be one thing, but you don't know what others' experiences are with you. And so if you don't have friendships in your life that can tap you on the shoulder and say, girl, you tripping on that one, or boo, that ain't right, or you need to see it this way. I often will have something in my head, and I'll take it to somebody that I trust and say, this is what's in my head. What do you think? And it blows me away when they see it totally different. Janice, it doesn't even mean that I go with the way they see it, but just the fact that somebody I trust can look at the same thing and see it totally different challenges me to keep people in my life who can shine a mirror or show a mirror and shine a light so that I can see how I'm showing up.
That's really good. That's really good. Robin, this has been great. And I appreciate you. I'm glad you did this. I'm excited about the luncheon. Tell the ladies one more time how they can register for
Okay.
the luncheon.
Now, ladies, stop what you're doing. I'll give you guys 15 minutes after. So we're stopping right now. By 9 p.m., if you register, go to whengirlsgather.com, whengirlsgather.com. Put in the code WGG, When Girls Gather. Just put it in WGG, and you can join me for $65. If you register by 9 o'clock tonight, you'll also get the ebook version. Somehow I'm going to show it to you. The ebook version of my 52-week devotional if you register by 9 o'clock. If you're watching the replay, you can still join me until Tuesday at 9 p.m. Tuesday at 9 p.m. You won't get the copy of the book, but you can join me for just $65. Put in the code WGG to join me. Ladies, thank you so much. Janice, thank you so much for doing this
You're
interview with me.
welcome.
I put myself on the hot seat. Ladies, we're going to do more of this where I bring on sister friends just to interview them. We're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about our money. We're going to talk about our health. We're going to talk about our libido.
Can we talk about our edges? Because my edge is going away on this side.
We're going to talk about our edges. We're going to talk about everything, ladies. So tell your sister friends to join us in When Girls Gather. Love y'all. Thank you guys for watching.
Okay. All right. Oh, she said what? She's in. I'm going to. Where can I buy the devotion? Oh,
that weekend. Just
okay.
go to robinmayonline.com. Go to
Hey,
robinmayonline.com
Shapiro.
and you
Okay.
can grab the book. All right. Love y'all. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye, y'all.